African fashion historically has been sustainable. But more recently, with the rise of fast fashion, the need to scale, the need to industrialize, sustainability, I think, is sort of taking the back seat.
It's part of our core to think and create the circularity of being a person. It should come from within, not you necessarily seeking the faster alternative to do things.
When they hear sustainable fashion, when they hear upcycling, they think it's just a normal, regular fashion. So that process, people are not really aware of that process.
Fast fashion comes with great environmental and social costs. And with its rising impact in terms of water use, carbon emissions, and labor practices, comes the need for a shift to sustainable fashion. Ifunanya Dozier has worked at the nexus between sustainable clean energy, development, and investments, developing systems for markets to thrive in the clean energy space across Africa.
Sustainability in its purest form, I think, is just minimizing harm to people and planet. It encompasses many things, right? So it encompasses, there's different components. The first one is around just using eco-conscious materials. So materials that have lower impact on our environment. So think of linen, silks, organic cotton, etc. Also around ethical practices. So just ensuring that through the supply chain that people are treated fairly and are paid according to what the average is in their respective places. On the third aspect of it is around sort of transparency and traceability. So just brands opening up about their product sourcing, their product processes, and things like that. And then on the fourth one, it's really around waste reduction and circularity. So when you think of like recycling, upcycling, building things that are built with longevity in mind. But all of these things are quite a lot, and it is quite complex to achieve all of this. But I think sustainability also is around the economic viability of a business, right? So you can tick all those boxes, but if your business is not economically sustainable, then the whole business model falls apart.
This thinking inspired the birth of a platform geared at centralizing and spotlighting sustainable African fashion brands.
One big misconception that I believe with the sustainable fashion space is that it's boring and it's it's for like tree hoggers and people that are just really focused on climate change and things like that. I want to kind of dispel that and prove that, that there are brands out there that are trying and are designing with intention, that are bold and fun and expressive and, and still aligning with those values.
So when it comes to circularity and sustainability practices, what are some of the existing limitations that hinder African brands' adoption?
I think the first main one is awareness. I think both the consumer as well as some of the brands just lack general awareness on how to be a bit more sustainable, how to be a bit more conscious. So like there are some brands that I've spoken to that are into sort of upcycling, recycling, but then the quality is just not really there, right? So, and that's a problem, right? Because you don't want to take waste, convert it into something, and then 6 months down the line, it goes back to waste. We haven't solved any problem there. Pricing and positioning is also a challenge that I see. And I think this is where I think there's a gap in providing a bit more help to these brands to help them really think about, okay, this is what I want to do. These are my intentions, and this is how to get there.
One of the creatives under Ifunanya's platform is Uche Unwosu, who runs an upcycling fashion brand working mostly with denim and a few other fabric types occasionally. I am visiting his workshop to learn more about his process.
Most of them come like they may be damaged. There are some that are even more damaged than this. I've always loved my clothes. I've always wanted to keep wearing them. So to keep wearing them, I have to take them to tailors to help me extend it, to add material so I can keep wearing them until I was doing this and people were, commenting on what I was wearing and what I was designing. And until someone asked me if I knew what upcycling was. At that time, I didn't know what upcycling. So when I did the research, I saw that, okay, upcycling is actually solving a big problem in fashion. And there's a whole industry behind that. That was when I became intentional and started being intentional about everything I do. For me, I think sustainability and conscious fashion is thinking about the end life of what you're making. So for me, I believe not just in fashion, I take that mindset into like everything I do, thinking about the end life of whatever you're doing. So most designers, they just make and put it in the environment and no plan for afterlife of that product. So for me, sustainability is thinking about that afterlife.
For Uche, the entire production process is deliberate in approach.
It starts from the market where we source our material. We source from local markets, and also we even have customers, donate some of their old clothes, old denim to us. So these are where we get our material. So from that, we bring it to the studio. So depending on the design we want to do. So what we try to do is to use up every material that comes into the studio. We try to reduce the off-cuts, and even when we have off-cuts, we try to see other smaller products that we can do with that off-cut. So in every aspect, we try to reduce waste. And also, aside from waste, also the people that work with us, we try to make sure that they are comfortable, they are happy working with us, and they find fulfillment in what they are doing. So that's quite important to us. I think bringing all of that is how we, approach sustainability and infuse it in our brand. There's a stigma with used clothes, as we call it over here, or quicker. So that stigma, trying to let people know that even if these are used clothes, they are still in very good condition. Even us, we take our time to take care of those clothes, dry clean it, disinfect it, make sure that it is in good condition. How we've been trying to mitigate that is educating people, telling our stories, showing people behind the scene of what we do, so they can follow us on the journey from the market down to the studio and down to when it gets to them.
While there are boxes to tick in circularity, one designer considers it more of a holistic creative process that begins right from ideation point. I've come to have a chat with her about her outlook and approach.
I wanted to portray sustainability in a way that was still core to Huba Dara. That's not just the muted linen and just drawing stuff that you normally see. Big, bold, elaborate, and just couture. While I was in New York, I worked with a lot of icons, for example, Lauryn Hill, and I collaborated with most fashion voices that were relevant in the industry. Did a lot of backstage in New York Fashion Week and had editorials in magazines and stuff. So I was always part of the process.